We're here today with DJ Señeres, who is the Stormwater Program Manager and the City Engineer for the City of Archdale. Thank you for being with us today, DJ.
Now, as I mentioned, it's great to be here.
Tell us, if you don't mind, what are your key considerations when designing stormwater systems for urban versus rural areas?
Well, fortunately, I've had the opportunity to work both in a large urban city with Fayetteville, North Carolina, and a more rural area with Archdale. And one of the wonderful things about working in Archdale is we have the ability to keep our buffers strong, whereas some of the more developed, larger urban places, you've already encroached in your buffer areas, which makes things challenging.
Can you explain the most critical components of a stormwater management system that have stood the test of time and how new innovations might complement or improve them?
Well, I've alluded to the use of the smartphone and the way we view things as far as complementing the law. But I think the primary principle of stormwater management is the guidance from the Environmental Protection Agency and the Division of Environmental Quality, in which we should always look at the principle of avoidance. Just because we can go into the buffer areas, that doesn't mean we should. And with the changing environment and frequencies, the more we stay out of those buffer areas and keep them resolute, will move us into the next 20 and 30 years.
How have stormwater infrastructure projects shifted towards more sustainable or green practices such as low impact development or permeable pavements?
I think in some ways there hasn't been a shift in terms of what a registered professional engineer has looked at in his cities. It is a definition of things that we have to continue to work on. I think all engineers from the early days of management have always looked at protecting the environment and our natural resources. However, every time somebody defines something a little bit different, it makes it sound as though it is a whole new concept. And what I mean by that is, green practices and low impact development. Engineers have been using that. Design professionals have been using that in their careers. All right. However, it comes to the forefront when people want to put that label on it. And unfortunately, that label drives some negative connotations.
What role do you see climate change playing in the future of stormwater infrastructure, and how are projects adapting to more extreme weather events?
I try not to use the word climate change in the sense of what we are observing. And I try and put everything in terms of the frequencies are changing. And we now have to look at things based on the frequencies and how much money we want to put aside to minimize those impacts. I do believe they will continue.
What is the importance of stormwater management in flood prevention, and how have floodplain mapping and early warning systems impacted your approach to infrastructure planning?
That one was probably the easiest question for me to think about in terms of my career. And this is a testament to the state of North Carolina. When Hurricane Floyd actually stalled over down east. I lived there and had a home there, and it split Goldsboro into two cities as a result of it. At that time, the powers that be in Raleigh made the decision that we were not going to get caught with our pants down, so to speak, and they commissioned to have new mapping done. Now, the state of North Carolina now has probably the best mapping available based on our LIDAR, and that allows us to inform our residents of where the areas are that are of concern, and that it's not prudent to build in those locations. The mapping is very accurate to the point of 90%. We may not be able to say when it will occur, but we can absolutely say those boundaries will be challenged due to the events. And that has repeated itself over and over in the last 5 or 10 years without any concerns.
Thank you for your time today, DJ. We appreciate all your input.